Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike Green. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about caulking seams, and hopefully this is a helpful video for you. If you're to that point or you need some repairs on your seams, this may help you as well. We use a mahogany colored caulking, and I'll fill you in the video why we do that. And you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to explain to you how we got to this point. So let's get going. So here we have an engine box. This is off of a 1957 Sportsman that we built. The boat got a new engine. It got a V8 engine instead of the 6-cylinder engine it had. And we made a larger box. Pretty much looks just like the original box, but we made it a little bit larger. So when you're putting the tape down onto these seams, you want to put it really close to the edge of the seam, but you don't want to put it right on the seam. You want to hold off to the edge of the seam about 1/64. And the reason for that is if you get it too close to the seam, or if you even get it overhanging into the seam, when you put the caulking in there and caulk that seam and then pull the tape out afterwards, you're liable to pull some of that caulking out, and you don't want to do that. So get really close to the edge of the seam, about 1/64 off. And then just make sure you got a nice straight line. I usually caulk on this application. I would tape the whole thing. I would tape this whole deck, and then I would put in all my caulking. So once again, don't overhang inside the seam, and just make sure that you're nice and straight. We use this blue 3M tape. It works good. So this is just showing you a little bit closer up that he's right to the edge of that seam. What we did to prep for these seams after we varnished, we took a piece of 80 grit and folded it up, and you can see a bit of the bare wood on the edge of the seam. And the reason we did that is we don't want the caulking to really stick to the varnish that got in the seam when we were varnishing the boat or the deck of this. So we wanted some bare wood, and that helps for the caulking to stick. Once again, get really close, but not inside that seam. You want to be right on the edge, about 1/64 out. There you can see we're really close. You can see just about 1/64. And you can see some bare wood inside there. So we're going to get that caulking to stick really well. So applying your caulking, this is really important to go slow and fill that space up completely with caulk. What you don't want is any air to get trapped in between. Sometimes we have a problem with it because the caulking inside the tube has little air bubbles into it. And so we try just to go slow and make sure that we fill that seam up completely with caulking. It's very important to do that. Also, we cut that tip so it just fits over the top of the edge. You don't want it too small. And then what he's going to do is he's going to push that caulking inside the seams as much as possible. Like I said, you want to make sure that you fill that seam completely up and push it inside. We usually do that twice, pushing really hard, getting that nice and smooth edge. And then what he's going to do is finish off that edge, just making sure it's nice and clean. He's going to pick up that excess stuff, the excess caulking, and then he's going to use that at the end to push it into the seam so we just don't waste it. Just make sure that you push it in there and not to have any air bubbles or any air pockets in there. Just smooth it out and push it in there again. That way not so much of it's wasted. What he's going to do is he's going to use the edge of the scraper. We've made a little round edge to it, and we're going to make a little bit of a concave stripe to it. So we want to make sure that that's concave and not just completely flat. It looks a lot better once you get the boat all varnished. Here's the scraper. We made that little rounded edge on the scraper. The scrapers are pretty tough too. They're not the flimsy type. You want to use the strong ones. So here we're going to show you, we've got a little bit of air bubble right there, and we're going to take care of it. That's air trapped underneath the caulking, and it probably came from inside the gun, and so we just open that up make sure it's open, grab some caulking from another place, and just really push it inside there. What you're probably going to have to do if you've already finished your seam, you'll have to then go back and push it through and then use the rounded edge. Here it is all done. All the seams are caulked. They're nice and flat, straight. They got a little convex to them, and they're just nice and even. The reason that we use the mahogany caulking and not a white is because we want to make sure that if there's any imperfections, they're covered. And if you're doing an old deck and you have uneven seams, you can hide those unevenness. This is the box before we stained it, obviously, and we had those seams cut in there. We put about 15 coats of varnish on there. Sometimes we do about 10 to 15. We sand 3 times, make sure it's nice and flat, and then sand those seams open. Well, I hope that was helpful for you. If you like what you see, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell if you want to be reminded of more videos. We're going to be coming out with a video pretty soon. It's going to be about staining and how to properly stain and different techniques we use, and also different types of stain that we use, different colors for different years. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you right back here. Take care. Bye.